I talked about how one could get to Cody versus Roman, because in the conversation that we had last week, I was speculative as to whether Cody would have the fan support that he needed, and I was explaining how we could get there with that fan support. What I didn't take into account was what was really going on. I was going by what has happened traditionally in WWE and kind of in pro wrestling in general, which is there's one way that fans really want to go, and there's another way that the company wants to go. Usually when there's two options, that's what we're dealt with. And more often than not, the company goes, okay, how do we get the fans on our side? Every now and then they acquiesce, and we get a WrestleMania 30 situation. But generally they go, okay, and that's kind of what was in my head. The company wants Cody. The fans want Sami. How do we get to what we want to do? And I gave an explanation as to why, but I was incorrect last week. I was wrong. What I was wrong about was that that's not the situation that we're in. Because what we've got is somewhat unprecedented. It doesn't happen very often at all. But we've got a situation where I believe, especially after this week, fans want to see both matches. It's not one or the other, it's both. The only dilemma is if you're not going to deliver one of them, the disappointment that we'll have about not seeing one of them. Because it's gotten to the position where one may not necessarily be better than the other. It's both. Fans love both stories. And that became abundantly clear when Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman shared the ring on Monday Night Raw. It was almost as if the WWE read the tea leaves. Triple H was reading what was going on Twitter. Maybe Triple H was listening to my podcast. Maybe Triple H was on the Notsam Wrestling YouTube channel watching vids and going like, oh, this guy Sam Roberts thinks that we don't know what we're doing. This guy Sam Roberts thinks that everybody wants to see Sami instead of Cody. Oh, this guy Sam Roberts thinks that Cody needs to go through more Okay. Let's show this guy Sam Roberts what it means to play the game. I'm assuming that's what Triple H said. Because we got a Cody Rhodes, Paul Heyman promo on Monday Night Raw. And if you didn't want to see Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes after that promo, you better check your pulse, because it may be time to bury you 6 feet underground. That promo was magnificent. It was almost as if Paul Heyman and Cody Rhodes sat back and said, look, we have to prove to the people that this is the story that they want to see. And they said, no problem. Hold my beer. And they went out there and weaved this tale. And even as they were doing the promo, you didn't know which direction. You thought you could call where they were going, and they didn't go there. Cody Rhodes and Paul Heyman are there, and Cody says that he brought up, and this is an emotional time, and he's pulled it out in a couple of promos, the time when Dusty, after being a top guy for as long as he was, after being on top of the industry, after being a guy who had it all and money was not an object, that Dusty fell on some hard times, and that there wasn't money coming in, that there was an income problem in the Rhodes family, and that Paul Heyman hired Dusty Rhodes. He even name-dropped Steve Corino, which I love, because as an ECW fan, the Dusty Rhodes, Steve Corino, King of Old School, High Spot, Jack Victory era is tremendous for me. But he says, Paul brought Dusty in and said he would pay him. And of course, we all know the stereotypes of Paul Heyman and the way he ran ECW. We all think that Cody's going to say, and Paul didn't pay him. We all think, we're going to get to WrestleMania because Cody is still mad that Paul stiffed Dusty on a payday. We didn't get that. We're going way deeper than that. What are we, simpletons? He says Paul did the right thing. Paul paid Dusty well. Cody said everybody wants to make this personal. This isn't a personal issue. He's just trying to win a wrestling championship. Roman Reigns can be the head of the table. Roman Reigns can be the tribal chief. Cody just wants to win the undisputed WWE Universal Championship to do something that Dusty didn't get to do. He's already halfway there by headlining WrestleMania. Rhodes hasn't done that. Now he wants to be the man. And there was an unspoken tension between Paul and Cody, where Cody was like, hey, man, just trying to be a good guy. And Paul goes, no. You stepped onto the island of relevancy without permission. You are threatening the tribal chief's reign, and the tribal chief does not respond kindly to that. So what did Heyman do? Heyman reflected on the memories that he had with Dusty, the conversations that he had with Dusty, the fact that Heyman knew Dusty not just when he was booking ECW, but Heyman knew Dusty when he was first getting started, when he was, sneaking into wrestling shows however he could sneak into. When he was, I'll be a photographer, I'll be whoever, just to get in the room. Dusty was the one who was in that room with him. And that's the relationship that they had, and that relationship grew, to the point where Dusty was training guys in FCW and then in NXT. Dusty interacted with Roman before Paul even did. And that's when Dusty, Paul Heyman says, told Paul that Cody was his favorite son. And Cody got a little choked up there. Oh my gosh. Goldust was sitting there watching TV going, oh, come on, what the hell? It wasn't about Goldust. Cody was like, oh man, that's very meaningful what you just said, Paul. And Paul said, let me finish. But Roman Reigns was the son he wishes he had. And oh, did that stab. Oh, was that a shot to the gut. Cody, you want to come out here and you want to talk about your father? You want to talk about the legacy? You want to talk about, well, okay, let's talk about it. And Cody got right in Heyman's face. He got right in Heyman's face and he said, I said I didn't want to make this personal. But Paul, at WrestleMania, I am going to personally take the championship away from Roman Reigns. He said, I'm not going to take this out on you, Paul, but you just cost your boy the title. Cody even brought up Sami earlier in the promo. He brought up Sami Zayn and said, maybe I'll fight my friend. He said Sami was his friend. Maybe I'll face Sami Zayn. Planting the seeds as if to say, look, we're not at Elimination Chamber yet. And if Sami Zayn beats Roman Reigns, we got a story there too. So don't go thinking that you know what's going to happen before it's going to happen. And Paul Heyman is shook. And he shows up on SmackDown 5 days later, gets the ring to himself. Tribal Chief's not in the building. He's got the 2 titles on his shoulders. Of course, the Universal Championship, the big blue. Buttons, not Velcro, because that's how Roman gets down. Snaps, I guess, not buttons, snaps. But he says, I've been all about the spoilers. All about the spoilers. Ever since Brock Lesnar beat The Undertaker's streak, which is true. That's where it started. He said, first spoiler, Sami Zayn's not here tonight. Boo. People were very mad. They want to see Sami Zayn. He's the big baby face. And then he said all kinds of stuff. But he basically broke down how important the titles are. He said, Cody said on Raw that he doesn't want to make this personal. He just wants to win a wrestling championship. He said, I can't believe that Dusty raised an idiot for a son. Hey, dumbass. This is beyond personal. These titles are the island of relevancy. These titles are what the tribal chief is the chief of. These are the table that he's the head of. He said that without these titles, there's no island of relevancy. Without these titles, there's no bloodline. Without these titles, there's no Paul Heyman. And without these titles, there's no Roman Reigns. So first of all, going back to what we said last week, that even brings more full circle. We ain't splitting these titles anytime soon because the titles have been established as everything. Everything. That's when Sami Zayn comes out. I thought you weren't here. He takes the hoodie off again. That damn hoodie, it's disguising Sami everywhere he goes. But he gets right in Paul's face once again, the same way Cody did. And he let Paul know that here's the spoiler. you know exactly how much time Roman Reigns has as undisputed Universal Champion. Because in 8 days at the Elimination Chamber in Montreal, and he said it right, he said Montreal, he's going to be the WWE Universal Champion. And he cited the fact that the bloodline was falling apart and that Paul Heyman had no backup. There was no Solo Sikoa. There was no Jimmy Uso. There was no Jey Uso. Where is everybody? Paul Heyman is now doing the unthinkable. He's talking about a world post-bloodline. That never would have happened a month ago. What happened, Paul? What's the difference, Paul? He says the bloodline is falling apart. So if you watched wrestling on Monday, you were fired up for Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns. If you watched wrestling on Friday, you were fired up for Sami Zayn versus Roman Reigns. And on Monday, they mentioned Sami, and on Friday, they mentioned Cody. We are in an era where we fans are fired up. That's one of the reasons why WWE and professional wrestling is so hot right now. Because Roman Reigns, who so many wrestling fans are like, he's boring, the bloodline's boring. We've now got 2 massive stories that are fueling the industry because people are so excited to see how these pan out. And look, I don't know how it's going to go. At this point, it's like, it's gotten so hot. Can you shift to the Usos versus Sami and Kevin? Where has Kevin been, by the way? That was what I said last week. We saw Jey come back. You know, he came out of the crowd, not with the bloodline. He came out of the crowd, successfully defending the tag titles with Jimmy. Jimmy seemed happy to see Jey. Jey seemed happy to see Jimmy. Jey also talked to Sami privately. Jey dapped up Sami Zayn. Sami said, I acknowledge you, and pushed on him the fact that the bloodline was going away. Now, look, I mean, if you look at this from any other perspective, Sami Zayn is absolutely a villain. Roman Reigns is 100% right. Sami Zayn is going to this family and saying, your family is destructing. Your family is crumbling. The family unit is being destroyed. But you can get out now. Come with me. I mean, you talk about poisoning the well. Roman's not wrong about what Sami is doing to his family. I have no idea how Elimination Chamber is going to go. I mean, I guess the Usos won't be there, right? The Usos have Friday off. Paul Heyman said that the tribal chief, and in a very menacing way to Jimmy, that the tribal chief thought that the Usos should watch the show from home. Now, you can get into the legal stuff that Jimmy has, whatever. I don't know. I don't know anything about that. This isn't the legal problems of WWE Superstars podcast. This is the Notsam Wrestling podcast where we try to get through storylines. So, I don't know if they both won't be there. I don't know. But, I mean, Heyman, I would have put you on the phone with him, but we don't get any reception back here. Slapping him on the arm too many times, pinching a little bit. I mean, whew. And then glaring at him as he walked out behind his back. Something is happening. I believe that the bloodline will be back. Well, here's what I think. I think we're teasing an end to the bloodline. And I think we're going to build towards WrestleMania where it looks like the bloodline is indeed collapsing. And I think that the conclusion of WrestleMania is going to be the bloodline is stronger than ever. I think that the reason that we're teasing that the bloodline is being destroyed is because it's going to make it more realistic that Roman Reigns might not win at WrestleMania. I think that this year at WrestleMania, it's going to be all about the idea that Roman might not win. Because honestly, when was the last time we went into a Roman Reigns match and it seemed like he might not win? I don't even remember the last Roman Reigns match where I thought he might not win. But I think that we're already laying the groundwork to tell this story that Roman Reigns might not win and that the bloodline is not strong and that there is, what does this look like beyond the bloodline, right? And we're already setting up that Roman will be gone off TV for a while. Maybe Paul Heyman will be gone too. The Island of Relevancy will, it'll be over. This will be the end of the story. It's been a 2-year plus long story. 2 years in August, so almost 2.5 years. And I went back, by the way, and watched some of those original promos between Roman and Jey Uso. Incredible. Go on YouTube and watch. At some point, maybe after WrestleMania, I'll do a whole Bloodline podcast. It's amazing. When Jey Uso, he's shouting at Roman, and he goes, this is like 2.5 years ago, and he goes, Roman, everybody goes, there he goes. There's the big dog. There's the boss. There's Roman Reigns. You know what they say to me? Which one are you? And it was like, oh, Jey. You shouldn't have to deal with that. I think it's all being set up to create doubt. And what will inevitably happen is Roman beats Cody. And the bloodline shows up on the Raw after WrestleMania stronger than ever. Now, I think we'll also set up a new opponent for Roman on the WrestleMania after Raw, but that's why I think it's all happening.